The most powerful SCPs. That is what we are talking about today, okay? Whenever I'm talking about SCPs, and this is how weird it is. I think I've talked about SCPs more than any other sub-horror genre on the internet. Like, if I'm gonna be honest with you, it's SCP, analog horror number 2, number 3 is like creepypasta. Yet, if I go 2 weeks without talking about it, people start asking, "Hey, yo, brother, where's the next one?" And I enjoy talking about it. However, most of the time that I talk about SCPs, I kind of relegate them to the horror side of it. Okay, and that's a large sum of it, I'm not gonna lie to you. A large portion of the SCP Society, which, if you don't know what that is basically, imagine if, like, the FBI was in charge of tracking down cryptids, and demons, and gods, and demon gods, and cryptid. There's a lot. There's a whole lot there, okay? I've made a ton of videos on it. And in this one, I want to go over the most powerful ones that I could find. I know there's, like, a lot that have the same power. Like, I'll be real with you, and you could literally just rename the video. Let's rank SCP gods, because there are so many inside of this verse that it is downright hilarious, okay? So I want to do a little bit of a grab bag, okay? Of all the different types of most powerful either entities, gods, concepts, or even, like, straight up events that occur inside of the SCP universe. And I'm going to be ranking them on how powerful they are. From, hey, yo, they pretty strong too, they might be above God. Not kidding. There's a few on here that I would actually argue are probably up there, okay? If this video is entertaining you, please consider like, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to get to 250,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and I'll be honest with you, I think we're going to hit it by probably mid-September, which is absolutely insane that we're having that conversation. And I'm hearing GTA 6 is getting delayed again to September of next year, so, like, I think we're going to hit 500,000 subs. I'm going to be honest with you, I really do. Let's try to hit 1 million subs. You know what? 1 million subs before the release of GTA 6 is actually looking like more possible than not. Okay, and with all that out of the way, no more long-winded intro. Let's get in to the most powerful SCPs. Let's go. The Scarlet King. I've talked about the Scarlet King a lot on here. Think Cthulhu plus the devil plus multi-dimensional and multiversal level entity, and that's essentially what you get with the Scarlet King. The Scarlet King manifests basically off the idea that people understand that its existence. The more you try to comprehend the Scarlet King, the easier it is for him to manifest inside of your reality. So, in and of itself, he is a cognito hazard, but the cognito hazard also is just there, and he's gonna break out regardless, so time really isn't a factor to him, because if you are functionally, not just functionally, literally immortal, okay, and time doesn't really affect you in your dimension, then you really aren't in a hurry, okay? Like, that's probably one of the best things that the Scarlet King does do, on top of it being an incognito hazard, is the fact that, well, what's the reason why it hasn't broken out? Because it doesn't care. Time does not affect this thing. In this thing's own dimension, it hasn't taken literal thousands of years. In its own mind, it's more or less like, hey, oh, you have me contained for now, but, like, I also want you guys to experience life so you know what I'm going to take from you. I want you to know what existence is when I snap it out, which, I'm sorry, bro, that's terrifying. Okay? And what I mean by an old god, he was also chained up by some other gods, and he only really is afraid of one thing, and what he's afraid of technically isn't a thing, it's a concept, and we're going to talk about the thing/concept near the tail end of the video. However, the Scarlet King, I mean, like, literally name it. Cognito hazard, reality warper, literally every possible ability that you can give this character has it. I want to start off with, like, a god-level entity already, because when we get into the other ones, like, there's only a few different ways you could do god-level entity inside of the SCP universe, and I think the Scarlet King is a part of a whole other group called the Old Gods. So instead of covering a lot of old gods, I'm just going to do the Scarlet King. And when I'm putting the Scarlet King is arguably above a normal god-level entity, because it took multiple old gods to sacrifice themselves to lock him away. Thus, I am putting him in an above-god level right there. SCP-096, the Psy Guy. I'm sorry, bro. I have to talk about this one. I know it's a meme. You're talking about this. There's a lot of new ones on here. I have to talk about the Psy Guy, because I keep on seeing people do animations of the Psy Guy vs. Omni-Man, Psy Guy vs. Thrag, Psy Guy vs. Hulk. The amount of death battles I have seen with him in it is absolutely hilarious. And this is the problem that I have. Brother, y'all give him every conceivable buff that you possibly can. Well, if you threw him in the space, he would find... Like, I get it. But there is a level where I'm like, yeah, but you can relatively contain him. Like, you relatively can contain him. Like, I'm sorry, bro. It's like, well, what would Omni-Man do? I'm sorry. There comes a point where, like, you can grab a hold of the Psy Guy, go into space, and he will be somewhat contained for a second because he still has to follow some level of rule of biomechanics, and he would freeze for a moment, and then I would just throw him into a black hole. I'm sorry. Whenever I see those death battles, it's kind of absurd that either the plot of the death battle has to come into play to give 096 every possible buff that they can to the point that bro has plot armor in and of itself, or they're just making up stuff. That is what I'm trying to see. They take like an idea of like, well, he's super fast, and it's like, okay. Yeah, he's fast, like 60 miles per hour, maybe a little bit faster than that. Brother, that's not outspeeding a Viltrumite. Brother, a Viltrumite, it's going so fast that when he's moving like around the earth, like, brother, they're going to Nepal over the course of like a minute. I'm sorry, that's a lot faster than 60 to 120 miles per hour. Just like speed-wise, whenever they make like the Psy Guy competitive with anything that's like super speed, I know they don't know ball. Okay, is he powerful? Yes, 100% he's powerful, borderline overpowered. But I'm sorry, dog, when you're comparing him with literal reality warping entities, then I can't take you seriously. At that point, I can't take you seriously. I'm putting him in overpowered, though. I think that's fair. The child whips. Let me tell you, I think this is one of my favorite ideas. The idea that there is a super powerful entity that has the ability to basically manipulate all of reality and is hinted to that they can affect time. Okay? And one of the ways that they manipulate, like, not just manipulate, they kind of cap the power of this little girl, because at the end of the day, it is a little girl that has all these powers, like literal god-level powers. They tell her, oh yeah, the reason that you're being contained by us is because you're a witch, and whenever you're gonna do magic, you have to do these spells. So in the mind of this child, that's basically like a god, she thinks that she's a witch, so it limits her power because she thinks, well, I need my wand to do magic. In reality, she could just go, you're gone now. You've been disappeared. Gone. Reality broken. Like, it's kind of like, imagine Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. He technically didn't have to snap. The moment he got the stone, his mind can just do it. You don't need to snap. That's purely just something he wanted to do to aura farm, okay? They tricked this little girl into limiting her powers because they tricked her into, well, yes, you're super powerful and you can do this, this, and this, but you can only do it because you're it kind of reminds me of Adam Eve a little bit. I'm going to be real. It's like Adam Eve is super powerful, but they put limiters inside of her superpowers, and the limiters can only break when she's on the cusp of no longer being with us. So she doesn't understand that she's basically a god, because she has a misunderstanding of how... Think of it like this. Imagine if it's like, I told you were a Green Lantern and you can manifest all this, but you have to have the power of will, when in reality, you're literally just God. So you limit your own powers because of this placebo effect. We essentially took a god, gave it a placebo effect, and told her that she was a witch, so she wouldn't break reality. I'm sorry, dog. That's absurd. That's absurd. Now, there's still a physical body, and I think that is part of the limiter of there. I know there's some higher limit stuff that you can talk about, but I want to put her in absurd level power. Her limiters are literally her imagination. I'm going to put her in absurd. SCP-001 when day breaks. I want to do an event that I think is just, like, absurdly overpowered. And that being, imagine if the sun was just, we're done. Hey, yeah, if you're in sunlight, boom, you are now turned into a, like, from the fly level flesh monster. That is what this is, okay? I've talked about this multiple times. Like, I think that this is probably the apocalyptic scenario. There is just no surviving this one. I know there's been some movies that have played with the idea of it, of like, yeah, we burned a hole in our ozone layer, and the hole in our ozone layer, like, when we're in the sun, it burns us. That's one thing. No. If you're in the sun, it turns you into a monster. And guess what? That night isn't safe because the light that comes off the moon is reflected sunlight. And this is where it has to be supernatural. I like the idea, like the cosmic level horror of like the sun is actively like a predator of all of life, and the reason, like the answer to the Fermi paradox in this scenario, I'm like doing some theory crafting, like the answer to the Fermi paradox is that all of the suns are not meant to like help life exist. It actually is meant to be the thing that exterminates life. So what is happening is that the ozone layer was the thing that ended up protecting humanity, and the moment we burn a hole in our ozone layer, the sun comes in and it turns us into these like Cronenberg monsters. I think that's where I thought we were going. The problem you run into is that wouldn't apply to reflected sunlight. I think if you made a few switches here and there, I would actually like it a little bit more, but I don't like the added, oh, and guess what? If sun reflects off the moon, that gets you. That's a bit much for me. That's a bit much. Obviously, brother, like that we're dealing with like cosmic Cthulhu god level of retribution. But I am gonna put it right there. Like that's pretty crazy. Now, yeah, I'm just adding a few like little caveats that like what I would like. I don't like the moonlight thing. I think that's kind of tacky. I like the idea that it's literally an answer to the Fermi paradox. That's what I like, but I'm being nitpicky. I still like it. God level. The hard to destroy reptile. So I've covered this monster a few times. I have forgot to bring up every single time that the hard to destroy reptile is actually the offspring of the Scarlet King. I don't know how that slipped my mind literally every single time I've done this. But like whenever I like film a video like this, I try to watch like some SCP content to get me in the mood, because I can yap about anything. I just gotta be in the mood to yap about it. So to get in the SCP mood, I watch some Volgun. I watch a few other stuff, okay? Those are some of my favorites. Now, when I was looking at hard to destroy reptile, yeah, bro, I completely forgot that it was actually the offspring of the Scarlet King. Okay, and that kind of makes a little bit more sense. Imagine if adaptability and crackhead energy was turned into a crocodile Cthulhu being. That is essentially the hard to destroy reptile, okay? Anything that you think it would work on it works for a little bit, and then it quickly adapts, okay? Any type of attack from antimatter to black hole to acid really does nothing but kind of make it mad. There's a whole story that somebody did in like the fan fiction portion of like SCP of when humanity finally goes away, the hard to destroy reptile is going to be the only thing that has a record or memory of us as existing, and that the last thing that the hard to destroy reptile will ever witness will be the heat death of the universe. Which kind of implies that there's a cosmic level entity that doesn't affect the hard to destroy reptile, which is what we're going to talk about in a second. I don't want to bring it up. Yeah, I want to bring it up because it's a cool concept. I want to put the hard to destroy reptile in overpowered, because when they put the hard to destroy reptile next to the Psy guy, they more or less kind of canceled each other out. So they kind of just, I'm going to put them in the same tier for that reason. God. Literally, yeah, literally just the G-Man. Yes, that's an SCP here, okay? I actually kind of like the idea that, like, the god in this universe was kind of like taking a vacation, and he's just chilling out at the SCP containment facility, because, like, I saw this comparison be made. I forget what video it was, but it was like God hanging out inside of the SCP containment facility, basically to just make humanity feel better, is like a dad hanging out in like the baby hamper, basically saying, "Hey yo. Oh yeah, oh look it, you trapped me. Oh my goodness, wow, it's so cool here." Anyways, that's dope. And then this is where it's funny. The containment cell that they put him into, when they left him, the cameras cut out, and when they walked back into the containment cycle, the inside of his containment like quintupled in size because he wanted more room. He can literally, like, reality warp the very physics of whatever area he's around to suit his needs. He has other dimensional knowledge on entities all throughout, and he's kind of like, oh, okay, oh, you want, like, oh, you need a question answered on your homework? Oh, okay. How do I contain the Scarlet King? Oh, okay. You see, because he's like an old god, these guys kind of have this thing where, like, you kind of have to know their name in order for them for the manifest. So really, what you should be doing is, like, never talking about him. Yeah, bro, he was a dick. I don't really want to talk about him. Oh, yeah, I created the entire universe. Also, you should come by more often. I get kind of lonely in here. Oh, wait. So we can contain you? No, not at all. What I mean by that is I can literally go wherever I want. I'm actually everywhere all at once. Like, when you go home today, I can be like a pigeon and I can talk. I can see you when you're walking. I'm literally everything, everywhere, all at once. I'm not even kidding. Everybody that goes to visit the G-Man when they enter. And the reason I'm for doing the G-Man is they aren't actually sure if he is like the god of the universe or he's just a hilariously overpowered entity that is more or less like, hey-o, he has knowledge, he helps us out, he has a cool vibe. That's another thing that they describe every time they go to hang out with him. They describe it as an amazing experience and they feel enlightened afterwards. So really, he just has a cool vibe. He's basically like a single dad that's trying to reconnect with their kid, and he has a cool crib. I don't know why. It's so dumb. I love it. It's not trying too hard. I dig it. I really do. You know what? Yeah, I'll put him in. Yeah, I'll believe him. God tier. I think he's just vibing. I am at the center of everything and you. I'm just gonna say I am at the center. That'll be the name. Okay. I'll be real with you. This is one of my least favorite stories in the entirety of the SCP universe because I think it takes the concept that's admittedly really cool. What happens when like an Eldritch level forgotten god gets bored, so he decides to mess with you like you would mess with like a sim in one of those Sims video games where like there's cheats and mods enabled so you can really make their life terrible. That's essentially what happened. So like this Eldritch god takes a liking to this one researcher and he rewrites reality to make his life so bad that they rewrite his existence ever being a thing. And the only record of his existence is they open up a containment facility and they see him inside of it. So they think he's an SCP, when in reality, no, he is the victim of an Eldritch god that's kept him alive and erased every bit of his existence except for him and his memories. Basically, it looked at him being like, hey-o, I don't really like you, so like I'm gonna make your girlfriend breaks up with you, your dog ran away, your family's no longer with us, and you know what? I'm bringing back your dog. You're gonna find your dog's gone. Oh yeah, your girlfriend sleeps with like your best friend, and this and this all happened. And it's like, it takes a cool concept, like the idea that humanity isn't just bugs to an Eldritch being, but it's basically the Sims to an Eldritch being, and every once in a while they get bored, so they dish out suffering. That's such a cool concept, but they take it in such a, like, weirdly petty degree that I'm like, oh, come on, you could do something better than that. I like the idea that there was, like, an Eldritch being that didn't like a certain society because he felt wronged by it, so he literally rewrote reality to make everybody hate them. I think that's a cooler concept that, like, history as we know it is basically the playground of an Eldritch god. That's cool. I dig that. It takes a cool concept. It makes it kind of dumb. I'm putting it in God tier. I'm just critiquing, but I'm talking about it so I can critique it. I'm going to put it in God tier. Leviathan. Okay, this is how I feel, because there's some cool stuff that you can do about Leviathan. Leviathan, okay, is like a big creature from the Bible that is said to be living in the ocean, and basically, like, it's contained within the ocean because the Leviathan basically had a little, like, domain expansion with the big G-Man in the Bible, and what essentially happened is the big G-Man won, and the ocean is containing the Leviathan. And in this story, the Leviathan is a super big sea monster that is so massive, like, I'm sorry that means that, is so massive that they mistook it for a range of islands, and then when they did seismic mapping, they realized that it's actually most of the ocean. And this thing is so big, it actually displaces a large portion of the water. So when it moves, it'll cause earthquakes, tsunamis, and all matters of destruction. But this is the problem that I have with it. Everything else that I'm talking about is like literal cosmic god level power. And this one, even if you're going to go that it's the actual biblical Leviathan, and I'm going to be real, there's some fun stuff that you can do with there. The idea that there's an entity named the Leviathan that is, like, described in, like, this absurd conglomeration of animals type of way, and it was buried underneath the ocean when it tried to face God. Brother, I'm sorry, you could make a Cthulhu story about that. You could. You really could. There's so many things that you could do to wrap that into like a Lovecraftian level story, and I feel like when they take it as the Leviathan's really big, it kind of loses it for me. I would like a few other things with it. Like, oh, well, yeah, we can't contain it, but there's something else that's containing it. And then you could wrap that into like some other religions. I think there's a lot of cool stuff you could do with it. I think we're kind of missing it. I'm going to put it in absurd. But, like, it's not... Brother, Big G-Man already beat the Leviathan. The Gate Guardian. Brother, imagine a six-winged angel standing at guard of the Garden of Eden, okay? And you can literally see through the gates, and you can see the Garden of Eden from the Bible. And you go to send one of your homies to go walk to it, and he literally despawns you. You walked in there, gone. Literally gone. You try to shoot some ballistic missiles at it, it treats them like fucking Fruit Ninja. Like, no. Brother, no, okay? I'm sorry, but like, when I'm bringing up powerful entities, this is the problem. He's not that powerful. Like, he's not that powerful. I don't even know if I would put him in absurd, because he's admittedly, like, just working for the G-Man. So, like, I'm gonna be real, bro. Like, you have Reality Warper, entities so big that he went toe-to-toe with the G-Man, and then you have the guy that is, like basically Paul Blart Mall Cop of the G-Man. I'm going to put him in, like, overpowered, but, like, same level is hard to destroy Reptile, honestly, bro. Like, I'm just not as impressed, if I'm gonna be real. Abel! Speaking of Judeo-Christian beliefs, okay, you ever heard the story of Cain and Abel? Basically what happened is that these two brothers were low-key beefing, and, like, Cain, because there was no other people around, kind of seeked, like, the love of his father, and then Abel was the favored son, because, yeah, he just knew. So Cain took a stone and committed the first, you know, like unjustified unaliving in the history of ever. And to be punished, God marked him with the mark of Cain. And the mark of Cain, depending on who you talk to, has different routes. And it is said that he still walks today till the end of time. So he walks the earth till the day of judgment. So technically, yes, there is a person named Cain that is the Cain from the Bible that is still around to this day. And that's such a cool concept for an SCP as well. But this is where they kind of lose me. They say, oh, well, the story was wrong. It was actually Abel that got it. And I'm like, okay, you didn't have to do that, but fine, you do it. And what are his abilities? Immortality, but he can be defeated, and he turns into a stone sarcophagus, and then he kind of adapts. He's a master of all forms of combat and weaponry. And he just hates the idea of human life because all human life is, like, also determined to hate him because that's part of Cain's mark. So, like, all of that kind of altogether makes what Abel is inside of this. Okay? And when I'm looking, like, Abel in this is basically Cain. But, like, immortality, everybody on here has a form of immortality. Okay. Healing factor. Okay, a lot of people on here either don't need it or already have it, so move on a little bit. Masters of all forms of weapon and fighting. That's dope. Most of these people literally warp reality around them. They don't need that, little bro. I'm sorry, I'm putting him in strong. I'll put him in strong in comparison to everybody else here. But I'm gonna put him right there. He's also semi-immune to the when day breaks. I don't know if that's canon, but that's something I want to add. That's something that's interesting, but I'm going to put it in strong. As above, so below. I literally still have a headache from trying to understand this one. So essentially what it is that it's an entity that lives within inside stories. And if it doesn't like a story, it can delete the story. It literally is the plot device of why certain things get deleted inside of the SCP forum. But I'm covering it because it's such a unique way of understanding, is that there's this basically like an autocorrect goddess. And I'm going to tell you something right now. I need to rant about this. Why is it in every single time in the SCP universe, when they say something is undescribable in this most like horrific way, and you find out it has a dude's name, they turn it into basically Cthulhu? But by all that is holy, if they refer to the undescribable eldritch being as a woman one time, oh my goodness, brother, they are putting mommy milkers on her so big they're sinking the Titanic. I'm sorry, dog. This is fan art, by the way. Somebody made that. Some of you, brother, the SCP fan art department is so thirsty, they heal hell eldritch being that devours literature, and they're like, man or woman? Man or woman? Man, Cthulhu. Woman, big. Give her the bigums. Make her 6'7". Uppies. Brother, y'all have problems, okay? Okay. So he can devour stories, he has fiction manipulation and non-fiction manipulation to change like different... I don't know. It hurts my brain, but I just had to talk about this because it's indicative of a wider issue. God level. Yes, God level. I think that's fair, actually. The Brothers of Fate. They go by different names. They have the Brothers of Death, the Brothers of Unaliving, the Brothers of Fate. And basically what it is that there's three brothers that's meant to symbolize the different ways that somebody can, no longer be with us, be unalived, all there, YouTube friendly terms, okay? Essentially all of that. And the youngest brother, which resembles humanity the most, represents the unaliving of the individual. And the unaliving of the individual, basically, whenever one person is no longer with us, that is meant to be him. The concept of a single individual no longer being with us is that. And then you have the older brother, okay? That represents the idea of groups of people, groups of cultures, or even countries, armies, all of those people being gone. That is what he is meant to represent. The culture going away. Even this is where we start getting into like some ideas of at what point does a culture or a religion die? That's where we get into there. And then you have the eldest brother, okay? And the eldest brother can be described as literally the void itself. Existence is going away. The heat death of the universe is him. He is the very consequential thing that is. He is a living concept of the opposite of life. That is what he is. And yes, the Scarlet King low-key fears him. Why? As long as he is around, the very concept of an elder god no longer being with us is still a possibility, and that is why they fear him. Gods fear this entity because he represents them not existent. And I'm gonna be real here. Such a cool concept. That's really cool, because what is the death of a god really? Is the death of a god non-existence? Or is it just a ceaseless existence? There is nothing there. It's not even darkness or blackness. It is the memory of something that you cannot comprehend. The memory of before your being. Is that what that is? And I'm going to be real here, dog. Yeah, I think I gotta put him above. They're described as equal to the Scarlet King, and the Scarlet King low-key fears them, so I'm gonna put him right there. And there you go. Those are the most powerful SCPs that I could find. Okay, if this video was entertaining, you consider like, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to get to 250,000 subscribers before the end of the year. We're bringing back cage-side combos for my MMA fans, just because I'm gonna be real with you. I still talk about MMA on the daily, but it's mostly like on other platforms. And I'm kind of like, yeah, I'll do a few bigger videos. I mean, this is still the main thing. I enjoy this the most. This kind of helps me. This affords me the ability to do stuff like that. But like every once in a while, I'll do like an MMA video on the other channel called Cage Side Combos. So you'll be able to find that. I don't know if I'll have a link below. I might do a link below. But there'll definitely be a link to it on, if you go to my channel, you'll see it at the bottom. And if you guys can support that, that would mean the most. I'm trying to get to 50 or 100,000 on there. I want 2 plaques, if that's possible. And I'm just blessed to do what I do. I'm happy I get to talk about basically anything that I really desire, or really what you guys want, if I'm being real. But like, I enjoy talking about the stuff that you guys find interesting, because I find a lot of it interesting as well. And with all that out of the way, I hope to see you in the next video. And if you enjoyed this one, like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to stay notified. 500,000 before the release of GTA 6. And with all that out of the way, I will see you all in the next one. Adios.